Here we are live. So we're having some audio issues. Of course we are. This is Graders Notes. This is what we do. We have issues. So we want to know from the chat. You guys hear show when we're talking? So let me introduce the guys. Check if they've got an echo going. First gentleman on the list, and the only gentleman in the list, is Mr. Metarog of Metarog's. I was going to say something funny, but I forgot. Metarog, go ahead and introduce yourself.
That was funny, Dave. That was very funny. Hi, everyone. A pleasure once again to be here on Graders Notes. Just one of my most favorite times of the week, well, bi-weekly, I guess, to be with these three fine gentlemen and totally just eviscerate a comic book. What could be better than that? So welcome, and I'll put it back to you, Dave, so you can keep going.
All right, so the scholarly gentleman of our list, or the scholarly scoundrel of our list, would be Gino Presents. Gino, please introduce yourself and get out of that canyon, buddy.
Say goodnight to the bad guy. But seriously, they were saying they were hearing the echo. Yeah, it's just me and everyone else but Roger. But hey, welcome everybody. We're gonna try working through this, but it's always a great pleasure to be on the show and to give you some of our based knowledge, as you will, about some blasts from the past.
And last on our list is the guy that made our tonight's pick. I can't call this guy a gentleman. He's an outlaw. And he picked for us the wonderful MoonKnight #1 from 2014. Kenny, I'm going to let you introduce this book.
All right. And I know, so it sounds like the audience is probably hearing the echoes the same way we are. So it sounds like Metarod probably has no echo. Me, Gino, and Miracle do. So I guess let us know, chat, if this is acceptable for viewing or not. We should probably address that first. If it's worth pursuing this way, or if we need to call an audible or something. So give us feedback, chat. It's definitely making my brain scramble a little bit hearing it.
Yeah, I'm gonna take off my headphones.
Yeah, Ron is saying it's good, guys. Keep rocking the show. Biggie's saying I love it. And Ruli says, "Yep, only Raj doesn't have echo." And Comic Collector says it's pretty bad. Poor 84. Biggie says.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So let's see. Because if it's annoying me and I'm doing the show,
Yeah.
Maybe we should try
you
an
all
audible
sound like
on
monster
something.
truck announcers.
I know. Now starting for center for the Montreal Canadiens, Patrick Waugh.
Oh boy. Biggie says it'll smooth out. Is that, you think that'll happen, guys?
It'll smooth out. How do you know, Biggie?
He's been on StreamYard for quite a while.
No, I don't think it will. Maybe we should try and fix it, just so we can do the Greatest Note show justice, and see what we can do. What do you think? That's what I think.
Hang on a second.
Okay.
In the meantime, Roger, if you would be so kind as to entertain our group here.
Sunday. Oh, I don't hear it now. Oh, no idea.
It says the host has unmuted your mic. Okay, so I guess I'm talking. I'm going to go through the chat and talk a little bit.
So that was weird because just one sec. Because when I muted everybody else, Kenny didn't have an echo.
Really?
Mute mine.
With pleasure.
Welcome to Troubleshooting with the Boys. Coming at you every Thursday.
Okay, now try it, Kenny. Try it. Say something.
Here I am, Comic Kid 84. I currently don't hear an echo, and this sounds beautiful. Uh, huh.
I had to mute the other two guys.
Oh, interesting. Maybe the one guy who doesn't have an echo,
Yeah,
Metarog, is
leave
the
Metarog
source of
muted.
our woes. We took him right off the suspect list because
Oh,
he didn't have any
when,
issues. But maybe
when
the
we
whole
mute Metarog,
time.
everybody clears up.
See that? So maybe what we'll do. See it caught right back with Metarog.
you're the vector.
I'm the bad guy.
What's going on?
So that's okay. All that means is when we
Right. Just mute me.
mute him when it's time for us to do our parts.
Right.
Yeah.
And that way I can't interrupt anyway, so that'd be good for you guys.
Nobody's listening to you anyway, Roger.
That's right.
I will
That's right.
mute
I'm whistling in the wind anyway. So.
All right. I think we kind of have a solve here. So.
Okay. Let's go back to where we first were. Give me the floor. Dave Miracle.
MoonKnight, number 1, 2014. Introduce the comic book. Tell us who's wrote it. Tell us why you picked it, brother.
MoonKnight, brother. Warren Ellis is the writer of this book. He's really the all-star. The artist is pretty legit. Declan Shalvey, even though I will admit that I don't really, not super familiar with much of his work, but Warren Ellis is the star in this situation. It's just one of the, when I got back into comics after a little lapse back in 2014, this was one of the titles that I was reading and it got me sucked in, brother. I feel like it's important because it kind of did some interesting things with the MoonKnight character. And, you know, I'm just throwing it on the docket for us to review and do our Graders Notes deal. I remember it fondly from years back, but again, I hadn't read it in a while, so I'm like, you know what, let's do this, and let me see if it holds up to how much I used to like it. So MoonKnight, number 1 from 2014, volume 7.
Yeah, and it was an interesting pick, something I personally had never read before. I didn't even know that there was a 2014 MoonKnight book. I had stopped collecting modern comics for a while, and definitely in 2014 I wasn't going to the LCS every Wednesday and collecting comics on New Comic Book Day. So, of course, we're going to go through our Graders Notes agenda here. We're going to talk about the cover. We're going to talk about the interior art. We're going to talk about the writing, the concept of the book itself, and then the overall of the book. Is that right? Or did I miss something? What's that?
You got it.
No, I got it. Okay, so based on these things, then we're going to ask you guys your opinion in the chat, and we want you to give us a grade of what you think, and together we're all going to come up with some sort of a median agreement. Although the chat tends to agree with me, because our chat is ever so smart, always, the people that join us. Maybe not so much for my fellow graders here, but the chat's always on board. Anyway, I'm going to start off today. Kenny, I let you introduce the book, but I'm also going to let you start off first and talk about the cover, since it's your pick today. What did you feel like really grabbed you about this cover, or disappointed you about this cover, brother? Let me know.
All right, man. Sounds good. And do you know how to do the full screen magic?
Yeah.
Oh, look at, bro,
Yeah.
Miracle's on it like a blue bonnet, brother. And if, you know what, if I may, it's just kind of customary Graders Notes for me to real quick show love to the immortal Biggie Shack, Unruly Simeon. Thank you for showing up, brother. Couple of Graders Notes alumni. Tim the Collector, Comic Collector, always holding it down with us. Appreciate you. Super Russ 9000. Thanks, brother. Rod the Rican. The Go-To Geeks. Thank you for being present. Man. Steve Whiting, Stone Cold Steve. Appreciate you. Thank you for showing up, guys. Okay. It's cover review time. So it's what I like about it. It's a cool minimalist cover, right? I think it grabs you. pretty badass, in my opinion. I think when you think of what makes a good cover, um, it can be many things. Sometimes a good cover to a comic doesn't always mean it has a really expertly rendered figure on it with super detail, and it's like this big work of art. A good cover is something that's pleasing to the eye and has a cool design. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's what this book does. It kind of subverts what you normally see with a cover of the title is usually up top and your artwork is usually down below. So I feel like that was a cool touch. Nice crescent moon on the O there. I think with very minimal amount of lines, two eyes in the moon thing up top, you convey a pretty badass image. So all that stuff I like. What I don't like is not really to the like it's not really the fault of the artist, but it's what Marvel had going on at this time. Of anything red on this cover, I think is bad news. What would make this an almost perfect cover for me is if it was all black and white. Just the black went all the way down, the white went all the way up. This big number one here is stupid. Um, I feel like it doesn't do the cover any favors. In this lower bar here, I mean, I know you got to put a barcode on it, I guess, but it should have just been all black, barcode in the corner, number one in the corner, be done with it. This kitschy marketing stuff, I can't overlook it. It's on the cover. Um, I don't really like it. All this marketing bullshit looks tacky. So, with that being said, if this was, whoa, I have headphones on. The turkey scared me. If if all we had was this white and black here, this would be an almost perfect cover for me. With just the simple lines that it has, it's artistic. It drives the point home. I dig it. But with the marketing stuff and the big number one, it landed at a 4 for me. I think it does the job with the simplicity. Bang, 4 from 84. What up, Key Comics Market Watch? My man. Yeah, I feel you early.
Hold on, man. I'm getting onto this whole. Oh, there we are. Everybody's back. Perfect. So I'm gonna turn off. What did you say? It was a 4.5 or 4?
Four even.
And I am sorry, Kenny. I gotta pay attention, not play around with StreamYard. Okay,
I know,
4.5.
fun.
That's actually a pretty decent score.
4 even. 4 even.
4
No
even.
half.
Obviously I'm not the scorekeeper. So pretty decent score from you for the minimalist MoonKnight cover. So what I'm
Yes.
going to do now, I'm going to turn off your two mics and I'm going to turn back on Roger, and we're going to ask him what he feels about the cover.
And we can
All right.
mute our own covers. We can mute our own mics, so that part's good.
Okay, let's try that. Roger, are you with us?
Am I out of gulag?
You're out of the gulag here. We've got you on the voice here.
All right. So the cover, Kenny, could you put that up so I could talk a little bit about it? Well, okay. Thank you, guys. First of all, Kenny, good job, buddy. Good job. But I think you're seeing it with a bit of too many rose-colored glasses here. Minimalist, I like, but this is de-minimalist. You have essentially half a cover, if that, because the bottom is essentially the trade dress. And yeah, the waning moon is kind of cool on the O there, and you do have that the good black and white palette, which is appropriate for MoonKnight. I do agree there, but essentially that top part is just a headshot that has been expanded, and you're seeing a little bit, his eyes. Obviously, no irises, so you know that this is some guy that you don't want to mess with, obviously. And he does have that really nice looking crescent with, again, that kind of penumbra behind it, which is a nice touch, but it's a little too minimalist for me, especially for a brand new series. I'd like a little bit of a hint or some kind of a little bit more than just a partial headshot to give me something more of information about why I want to buy this book. So in that sense, it's disappointing. I do think that the concept is pretty good, except that it is just way too minimalist. If it had a headshot and maybe a few vignettes on the bottom, that might have been okay, you know. But considering how really de minimis this is, I can only give this an average grade, so I give it a 2.5.
2.5. That's very average. Perfectly average. All right. So now I'm going to switch it over. I'm going to go over to Genome Presents there.
Don't forget to mute Metarog to kill.
Oh, I won't.
Yeah, mute Metarog after that 2.5.
That's right. Hey, what do you think, Metarog? All right. So, David, you back with us?
All right. What do you say, 2.5?
2.5.
Okay. Gotta keep the scribe going.
What did you feel the cover was like? What does your scholarly mind say? Man, look at this cover, or what was this artist thinking with this cover?
Well, spoiler alert, or full disclosure, I had to read it digitally. My dumbass didn't get it ordered in time, so completely my fault. But yeah. But as far as what my scholarly mind thinks about the book, I do believe I lost a few IQ points looking at this cover. I like the idea of it in a way. It's like, you know, there's the eyes of Khonshu just looking at you, you know. But at the same time, it's just so incredibly lazy. I love the black and white color scheme. That's how it should have been. But like my astute colleague said, all the red should be gone off of there. That bottom flag needs to go. To stick a black and white UPC on there, at least it wouldn't be so jarring. I wouldn't even put a number 1 on the cover. I just would have left it as it is. And you know, people can figure it out when it's, you know, 15 pages long, but it's not going to be a trade or something, you know. So I don't know. I don't mind the sketch and the look of things too much. It just, I don't know. It seems like for a new launch, they would try a little bit harder. But once again, I don't know. It kind of keeps with the character a little bit, you know, the stalky kind of, you know, night hunter that he is. But it just, I don't know. Some of it kind of reeks of either rushed or laziness. I'm not sure. But I'm not saying I dislike the cover. It just, if you don't know who MoonKnight is, if they didn't say it on the cover, I'd have no idea who it was. You know, seeing that all you see is like the moon crest on the forehead. That's about it. So, yeah, it just, while I don't mind it so much, I don't think it's too good for a first book. I think they should have actually tried to put something on there other than just a pair of eyes and a crescent. So, I definitely would have raised my score a little bit more if they had just got rid of all that red and got rid of that stupid flag at the bottom. So I'm gonna have to kind of agree with Mr. Van Rog. It's gonna be a 2.5. I do kind of like the concept. I think it fits the character somewhat, but you know, I'll say this too. If I was walking by the aisle, though, that would grab my attention. Just the two eyes staring at you. So maybe that's what they were going for. But I don't know. So yeah, just 2.5, kind of middle of the road, maybe a little below. I don't mind the concept. It's just the execution is a little lacking.
All right, 2.5, right again in the middle of the road. So I guess I'm up on here talking about this cover. All right. Do it. There it is. So for me, this cover lacked, man. Like, I had to agree with David. It's like I do little sketches like this on like little pieces of paper in meetings or envelopes when I'm mailing them out or stuff like that. It's very minimalist, but then it's not, because then they throw in all of this. Like, I think this cover would have been so much better if this was all white and just that pair of eyes, right? Maybe a little tiny MoonKnight somewhere, or even MoonKnight on the back would have been better, you know. But yeah, this really is distracting. You know what it looks like? Remember, see that like dude? Hang on a second, let me draw it. You know, that dude that's like this, the little.
You're gonna talk about Kilroy, aren't you?
Kilroy guy, yeah. Right, that guy.
I was gonna bring that up. I forgot about it. Yep.
Right, like totally.
I just thought about sticks for some reason. Yeah.
Little Wilson, Home from Home Improvement.
Oh yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah, Mr. Yeah, it's Wilson. Wilson's the Moon Knight. But that, so I think it would have improved. I mean, I liked the cover more after I read the interior and saw the interior art, and then I liked the cover more. But at first I was like, that sucks. This big red one or white one with the red thing is really distracting. And again, this is lame. This whole digital stuff down here should have been taken right off. This Moon Knight should have been either white with just like barely a Moon Knight you could read would have been better. You know, it is. Well, you're getting muted. Type. There you go. Yeah. So I was disappointed with the cover. I gave it a 2.5. I thought again it was lazy, and I thought the layout of it was rather clunky. All right.
I think the fact that you've never seen a cover like that before is not getting enough respect. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, haven't I seen covers
It's a bold cover, brother.
You said 2.5,
Whatever.
right?
2 point, or yeah, did I say 2.0? I said 2.0.
2.0.
Hang on, let me switch back off of my stop.
This is me just trying to let the chat know. Let the chat
Oh,
let
I mean,
that simmer.
You got
my
that cover.
grade-
You got that
my
cover, and
grade
you got
stunk
Moon Knight
menu.
covers like that. I mean, that is a first. That's a cover for Moon Knight, and that lets you know something's going on and a little bit about the character. That reaches out and grabs you. I mean, just of course he has a lot of good covers in the past, so I hate to bring that up, but
Or look at like Moon Knight 25. Now that's a minimalist cover that really, really works. That's Bill Sienkiewicz's work, right? Or Sienkiewicz's work. And this minimum cover is just not it, man. Like I said, it's Kilroy. It's Home Improvement neighbor there.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I don't blame you guys for it. Understand. What's up with Metarog? I miss
Oh, yeah.
Metarog. What do you have to? And we should say, let's prompt the chat. Chat, what you got? You can start
Oh, right,
throwing your
chat.
grades in.
So what I need is the chat to throw us some grades down. Tell us what you think of the cover. Sorry, we get distracted talking comic books like all of us in the hobby do. So please, send up a grade, and we'll just keep chatting for a moment here.
Yeah, and Tacoma Comics brother, with he's anything interesting happening with the X-Men recently. I don't want to go on a tangent here, but I must say, I just want to throw real quick. House of X issue number 2 is one of the greatest, coolest single issues of comics that I've read in a long time, brother.
Yeah, I haven't
So
had a chance
good.
to read it yet.
Hickman's back. Daddy's home. Move over, Kate. Move over, Aaron. Daddy's home. Hickman's back, brother. Okay, Metarog, I miss him. What do you got, man? How you doing over there?
Metarog? Okay, we're echoing.
Okay, I'm off the leash again. Okay, great. No, man, you guys did a great job here. I see Kenny's point of view, but sometimes, the cover, if we can't have it both ways, right? If we're saying, hey, the cover has to draw you in, it has to have some kind of impact to get you to buy that comic, and yet we have something that you could sketch, in 5 minutes. I think that the Davids are right here. It's kind of on the lazy side. The interior is much better, I believe, than what that cover is intimating. So, but I see Kenny's point of view, and I don't think it's horrible or anything, but it needed a little bit more for me to buy it. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. I mean that
All's
little-
fair in love and comics and Graders Notes.
You got it.
That moon isn't even round. I don't know. Maybe they don't give her compasses there.
all right. Looks like we got
All right.
scores in. If you want, I'll go to mute myself. So if
I
Metarog
hate
wants to
to
read
be
them
the
off.
one to
All right, here we
remind people
go.
to mute Metarog. But
Here we go. We got our buddy and staunch supporter, Unruly Simeon, coming in with a 3. Tim Comic Collector, 2. Russ, 1. He really did not like this, Kenny. I Love Disney and Comics. Steve, great to have you here, buddy. Comes in with a 2. The other Steve, the AOK Master himself, comes in with a 2. Let's see. Tacoma Comics, welcome all the way from the West Coast, I do believe, with a 2.5. He goes along with the majority, Kenny. And I think that's it.
I That's all the grades we have in.
That's all the grades we have in that I can see, unless I'm missing something. Oh, what about Biggie? Did Biggie chime in? Biggie, did you chime in on the cover?
He gave it a 1.
He did. He gave it a 1.
Oh, a 1. I'm sorry. There it is. I'm giving it a 1. About as bad of a MoonKnight cover as I've ever seen. Oh boy, it's going to be some superpower hour. I see some disagreements.
Yeah, there is.
All right.
It's okay.
All right. You got the
I was
abacus out?
totally drawn. I was totally drawn to this when I saw it. I was like, "What the heck?"
All right, buddy. That's, you know,
2.
maybe you're the demographic that it was going after. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's okay. Sometimes you don't have to get fancy, you know. Chat grade is 2.
2. All right.
Yeah. Just
Oh
like
boy.
me.
Oh man.
You said
That hat's gonna.
2.5,
Those earphones are gonna explode off his head.
Those are
right? Didn't you
3
say
in a row.
2.5?
No, I said 2.
He said
Gino?
2.5, then he moved it to a 2.
No way.
He misspoke.
I never.
Gino was the record keeper. What is it?
Well, I thought he said 2.5 at first, but then he came back and said 2.0. So since he is hosting, I guess I'll have to say he's being honest.
Yeah, I got it written down right there. 2-0.
Yeah, all right.
All right. He's got evidence. He's got evidence.
Fair enough.
All right. So
And I hate to say, but don't forget to mute Metarog because it gets a little crazy when. Bye, Metarog. See you soon.
Bye, everybody. Bye.
Bulldog, Metarog, you're up, buddy. I'm gonna ask you first what you think.
Oh joy. Oh,
That was a little bit of a burn. So yeah, I'm gonna ask you what you felt about the interior art on this baby.
The interior art. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, let me just thank Kenny there for, again, pulling my derriere out of the lava, because I could not find this issue in the 10 stops that I did in Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas, and Texas. So he kindly sent me a link to this interior art. I think that I've never seen any art from Declan Shalvey before. But I'm actually fairly impressed with it. It has for the story, I think it's very appropriate. It's very noirish, with a lot of dark overtones, almost like a Frank Miller Sin City kind of vibe to it. It starts off with daylights, and then a lot of lights, and then it goes into the seedy underworld. The lights are dimmed. The lights start silhouetting everything. Oh, thank you very much there, Mr. Miracle. And then there are parts which are gray tones, like when he was in his car right before he got to the scene of the crime. They're very gray tone, which lead me to believe that maybe this is some kind of internal monologue or some kind of one of his personalities that is perhaps observing this more than the others. And it happens again right at the end when he is being psychoanalyzed, or the results are coming back. And again, it turns dark. It's almost like his whole perspective changes. So I thought that transition in art was very well done. I'm not totally crazy about the some of the coloring effects. They're just like, especially during that villain, we don't really see a good. I understand that reddish tone. It sort of describes the kind of maudlin and the depression that he was going through. And that lighting that coming from a hidden shield base at some point. But I want to see that character in full color at some point. So I was kind of disappointed about that. But really well done. The layouts are unique. Some of the horizontal panels, I think on page 16, which sort of show how he is. It doesn't show his whole body. It'll show his upper, show his lower. It sort of shows so that you're seeing the perspective of what he's seeing, the floor, the blood, the entrails that are there. Very well done. I'd say the art is, to me, fairly impressive. Again, I wish that some of the lighting effects were a little bit better, especially on that villain. But honestly, I'm very impressed. And the coloring is just a little off here and there. But overall, I gave this a solid 4.
4, a very good mark for a comic book. All right. Let us bring everybody back here. Kenny is gone. That's okay. So, Roger, with your 4, I'm going to give you a mute here.
All
I'm
right.
still with you, my friends.
There you go. You're still here, Kenny. All right. So, it's going to be, I'm going to go next on the interior art. What I thought of it. So, after seeing this cover, I was like, oh man, what am I going to be reading here? Right. And, I took a look at the interior art and, oh, I was pleasantly surprised. Does not seem lazy. It is quite well done. Backgrounds are terrific. I am so in love with this stark white that happens. Hang on, let me do my screen up. Where every panel, MoonKnight is completely white and flat, right? And so he's really like stands out so much against every panel. Every other character is shaded, every other character is wearing color, and MoonKnight is completely unshaded. He just looks like he was painted straight white with a little bit of black shading once in a while. And he's such a stark character against all these dark backgrounds. So that was really, I really enjoyed that. Like you can see just how easy it is to see MoonKnight amongst all those characters. You look at these two guys; they're roasting a cat. I don't know, man. You know, I think bums will come up with better food than house cats. Anyway, all of these panels again, lots of good backgrounds. Nothing's lazy. There's some dark spots, but these dark spots have to be dark because he's down in the sewer, so I didn't mind that, right? Then you get big, great outdoor shots when he's kind of resolved everything and hanging out. These are nice big panels, right? And the darkness of everything seems to work quite well. So I was quite impressed with the interior art. Pleasantly impressed with the interior art. When I was looking at this cover, I had this book for a few days, and I was looking at it before I read it, and I was like, man, I got a lot of other books to read. I guess I got to read this thing. But yeah, it was totally really happy with the interior art, and I ended up giving it a full 4. So
Full 4.
4 it is.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, so 4 is what I'm going with. Next on our list, of course, we're going to drop down and we're going to talk to David. David, you're
All
going to be
right.
up next. Sorry.
All right, you're classing the joint up, I see.
That's right. We want the what is your eye telling you? Was it pleased? Were you upset? Were you angry when you saw this comic? Did they treat MoonKnight the way you think they should be treating MoonKnight?
All right.
Give his screen a little click too, so he can.
Yeah, I was forgetting about that.
That's all right.
Everyone wants to see my beautiful mug, right? Well, unfortunately, once again, I had to read this on my phone or whatever, so it didn't do it great justice. But I'm a kind of MoonKnight fan of old. I've always loved the character design. So at first, I was a little put off by some of the art. It almost looked like Cal art for the first couple pages, but then it just took a life of its own. Once MoonKnight's actually in the panels, it looks freaking incredible. Like Miracle was saying, it's almost like a 3D effect. He stands out so much from every background. Is your eye can't help but just focus on him, and everything about him is just drawn so cool. His casual outfit for riding around town, not very inconspicuous, but fully masked and suited up, looking like Colonel Sanders at Halloween. But it just looks really good. If the art reminds me of anything, it's actually Steve Dillon's from some of the Garth Ennis Punisher run. It reminds me a lot of that, actually. Yeah, I like it a lot. At first, I was a little put off, but especially the action scenes are amazing. There's a scene in there where he's going after like an assassin. It's like a 3-page layout of action going on. It's just incredible. It's a really great fight scene. And I don't know. I was very pleasantly surprised after a little bit of disappointment from the cover. they obviously usually they'll put more emphasis on the cover on the first issue to get the book to sell. Then they'll worry about art as an after effect. This one it's kind of inverted. They just got the the quickie have to get this out by tomorrow kind of rush job on the cover, and then on the interior they had done a great job. So I have to actually concur with my colleagues, and I give this a solid 4.
4. Agreed with me again. That's a smart play there, David. All right. So, last but certainly not least on our list, Comic Head, how did you feel about the interior? This is your pick. This is your baby, brother.
It is. I do enjoy this book. This thing is one thing I enjoy about this run is it's unique, and finding this after a long break from reading weekly comics, it wasn't the stuff I was used to reading, and there's great moments. I'll just highlight great moments. The introduction of MoonKnight, the beginning is very cinematic. When he pulls up in the limo, this sequence of pulling up the Rolls Royce limo, the grill pulling up with the emblem, him tightening his tie, and then it turns over into an awesome introduction page of, Marvel presents with a white and black grid of the city. Boom, MoonKnight, slasher, name of the issue, name of the episode, if you will. Very cinematic, almost like the opening to like a television show or something. As you guys mentioned, man, a very cool trick in this book is the way they render MoonKnight. Basically with no shading, he's always just flat white and black. There's no gray tone, there's none of that. So very little rendering, it's a little off-putting when you first see it, and it starts to make sense as you read through it, because they always say you stand out like a sore thumb, and his take is, that's how I want it. He's kind of like the opposite of Batman. He doesn't want to hide in the shadows. He wants to be a big glowing white target, So that lends itself well to that. Now the art inside, I'll be honest, it's not my favorite style of inside art. It's very indie, has a really indie feel to it, which is actually appropriate for the book, But the two main things that I always look at for interior art is great facial expressions and great dynamic poses. And it doesn't deliver a ton of those. The artistic take is always really good, like him descending down into the subway is a high point. Really cool how he shows the 3 different levels and him crawling down. That's great. But I'm not a big fan of when he faces the freak down in the sewer. I don't think the guy's drawn particularly well. I agree with Metarog that the red lighting on him kind of does a disservice to a lot of the detail we could have had with him. And even the fight scene, like here's him tripping the guy. It's not, stellar dynamic body posing and stuff. So, I'm not like rose-colored glasses there, but it does cool things like this. Like later when they go to the therapy session, what a great intro page in the setting of that with the mountain background. So it has a lot of high points in creative pages like this when he's, descending in among the skulls, and a little Khonshu action. The color palette's really cool on that. But at the end of the day, it has a fairly basic indie comic kind of art style that lacks some of the detail that it probably could have used in some points. But it does the job really well. So I definitely like it. I like it a lot. It suits the book well, but I actually, believe it or not, fell a little lower on the art than you guys did. I think an appropriate grade for the artwork in this is like a 3.5. I think there are. It could have been rendered a little better. I think it suits the story well, but at the end of the day, to me, this is 3.5 artwork inside. Very creative, but I have to put it in perspective with all the great comic art that's out there.
3.5. He likes it, is what he tells us, but not that
He
much.
like it. Me like it. What up, 90?
Yeah, we got Chad 90 joining us in the chat. We got Unruly Simeon, the immortal Biggie Shack still hanging around. Hialeah Comic Bro, he's in here now. Man, we got all kinds of people running in the chat here.
I'm like Moon Knight on the cover. See me?
Mm-hmm.
Ruben,
I did it,
Ruben
did it
Yanis,
earlier.
can't forget.
Oh shit! I'm like Wilson. Where am I at?
So with everybody in the chat getting a shout out, now we'd like you guys to give us your grade about what you feel the interior art of this book. Is it a yay or is it a nay? Give us your grade out of 5, please. You guys can keep talking. Nobody said you had to shut up or anything.
Oh, he's talking to you, chat, not us.
I'm not talking to the chat. I'm talking to you.
Let's check in with our boy Metarog.
He's wanting to say something.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's
Check in with
waving.
our boy.
Hey, help! I'm on fire.
Oh man, I'm here shouting at the phone. Nothing's happening.
I saw you. I saw you for a couple minutes.
Oh, you just want to make me suffer, huh? Okay, gotcha. I gotcha. No, you guys are great. That Moon Knight in the suit is just so elegant and just so when he goes out there to meet those detectives, they can see him coming a mile away and they're saying, "Is that Moon Knight the vigilante?" No, that's Mr. Knight, and that comes in his suit. It's almost like he's promenading to the crime scene. Very well done scene there by the artist. Excellent.
Oh,
Yeah, no, I really like the art in the interior.
And Dave, as much as I appreciate YouTube is 90, we got 90s comment.
Sorry.
All for me and Genome here. Poor Genome, he's all.
How do I get rid of it?
I don't know. I never use StreamYard. It's okay. But, yeah.
We got a few. Well, you guys already shouted out the some of the chat here. We got Hialeah Comic Bro, my buddy from down in Miami-Dade, and Javi Conquistadorks got in here. Hydra Comics, I think he's from Houston.
Yeah.
Hail Hydra.
Good to see you here.
Lost.
Everybody's great in.
Rangersley. I haven't seen Rangersley in a.
Oh, Rangersley's in here. Oh, fabulous! One of the most knowledgeable guys on YouTube. Really.
Oh, really? Oh, cool. I'm gonna sub him right.
Trust me. Whenever he comments on one of your videos, you're like, this is gonna be epic because he knows everything about every character. Seemingly.
I like it.
Not so bad.
All right, you ready with the abacus?
Of course I am. Yeah.
Oh boy, just a little bit of voice inflection of doubt there. All right, here we go, guys. Steve Whiting, 3.5. I Love Disney and Comics, 3. Unruly, 4. Unruly really likes this one. Russ comes in with a 3.5. He liked it. Okay. Key Comics Market Watch coming in with a 3. By the way, fabulous channel. This guy is ahead of the game when it comes to stuff that you wanna be ahead, specking on.
One of the first guys I ever subbed.
Yep.
Key Comics.
Everybody, if you're, by the way, we've seen this all the time. If you don't recognize somebody on here, please sub them up, because these are people that know their comics in this chat right here. All right. I'm sorry. I got distracted. Immortal Biggie Shack, my buddy from Ohio, comes in with a 3. Chad, another Floridian, 3. Ranger Sly, 4.5. Are you talking about the whole book, Rangers, or just the art? Let me know about that one, because we're just talking about the art right now. Conquistadorks, 4. Metarog is way too generous with his praise. No, I'm not. Not with you, Ranger Sly. Every word is true, my buddy. Every word. Rangers fly as a fox. That's right. I think I got that right. Didn't I say Ranger Sly?
You did. I messed it up with Rangers.
Oh, you messed it up. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's it.
Yeah.
Some good grades in there. Kind of like up and down,
Oh, and what do you know? The chat agreed with your boy, 3.5.
Oh, no.
What? Oh, Dave's got to start another streak.
Yeah, right in the middle of my underwear.
Oh, how the
Now,
mighty have fallen.
this is good, really good art. I mean, for a modern book, it's really.
Yeah.
If you look at my entry to Lady Fantastic, and I talk about art appropriateness, this is very appropriate for this type of noirish book. Very well done.
Right.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
pleasantly
I never hear the run or this book mentioned at all ever, which is kind of why I wanted to pick it up because I really dug it big time, and it was a big part of me getting back into picking up weeklies, and it never gets the love I think it deserves.
Well, maybe now
Yeah.
it will. Maybe now that you're bringing exposure to it here on the fabulous Mr. Miracle Comics channel,
Yeah,
it will get its due. It will get its due in public.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to our next category here, and that is the story.
Hey, Dave, can you mute?
Oh yeah, that's beautiful.
Well, I
don't
got
forget
it.
Mr. Echo over there.
How you feeling? Better?
Much.
Great.
Sorry, Matterog.
All right. Story. Right. So let's do the story grade here. So, okay, I gotta come clean. I'm gonna start this one. I'm gonna come clean. I fucking hate Moon Knight. Like, I have always hated Moon Knight. I think he is the lamest character. He's such a bad, pale Batman. All of his comics have always kind of been like, ridiculous. This guy is ridiculous. I don't want to read any of his comics. Werewolf by Night number 32 is by far the most overvalued comic book in the market today. It is ridiculous that it's worth even a tenth of what people are asking for it. Moon Knight is a Z-list character at best. However, when I read this story, I was like, what? 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 How could a Moon Knight story be so good? How could this happen? When did this happen? Why didn't anybody tell me that Moon Knight had this happen to him? Warren Ellis. Wow, what a difference. To take Moon Knight away from trying to be this fucking, pale Batman and actually make him more like a pale Sherlock Holmes, right? Like that's what it kind of reminded me of the character here in this book was more, of the detective part of Batman, not the stalking in the dark part. The crazy part of it goes well with his character because it's always been a part of Moon Knight that he's crazy, but I really like the way that they explain it and present that crazy in this book. So I think Warren Ellis did a fantastic job. He's turned a new leaf a little bit for me for Moon Knight. I actually enjoyed reading this book. I, have plans now to go and get some more and just keep reading what's going to go on in this series because the characters were smart, the dialogue was great, the story flowed well. Wow. So in terms of really turning me around in terms of Moon Knight, I gave this a full-on 4 for the story. So that's where that's where I ended up landing.
Pretty solid.
Quattro.
Pretty solid. He just turned it around right there.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that how good of Warren Ellis' story actually was, and yeah, I'm definitely gonna they're cheap reads. None of these books are worth a huge amount of money, so it's it's easy one to collect. A good little series you can collect and well written like that. So we're gonna move along. Kenny, you could come after me, right? Why don't you tell me how you felt about Warren Ellis's writing here in this book?
If you wouldn't mind, someone's at my door. Can Gino go next?
Yeah, sure. Gino,
Thanks.
we're gonna set you up, brother. We're gonna make you. How do I get your little deal? Oh, there it is. We'll ask you. How did you feel about the writing? Tell us. You're a well-read young man. You have brains to match. Tell us how you felt about the writing.
I noticed you left looks off there, but no, actually, I'm not going to say anything for the next 2 minutes because it's Kenny's turn, so we're all going to sit here and stare at the camera. But
Sounds good.
no, on the other hand, I've always kind of liked Moon Knight as a character. because I like the little more human-centric ones and the more super meta-powered. I know that Moon Knight is far beyond like a normal human, like Cap level, maybe a little beyond. But I always liked a little more grounded in reality, is real as comic books get, characters. So, and his design, I always thought it lended itself very well to the comics medium. He has a really cool design. Yes, he is definitely a clone of a certain flying mammal we will not discuss here, but I don't know, he just thought he was cool, and he had that kind of interesting psychological aspect about him that was at least a little bit different from most characters. Now, as far as the story goes here, actually, I read through like the first 5, and here's my take on them. This is like this Ellis Moon Knight is like a cross between Detective Comics, like say late '80s, early '90s Detective Comics, and Garth Ennis Punisher series. It's like one and dones, self-contained stories, but you take Moon Knight of old and then turn him basically into the Punisher. That's what they did with him. He's super violent, but he's cool, calm, and collected all the time. So yeah, it reminds me once again of the Garth Ennis run on Punisher. So I don't know if any of that was intended or not, because I don't remember Moon Knight being that violent in the past, and I've read a lot of old Moon Knight stuff. But so they took him in a kind of a bold new direction, I guess, and actually turned him to maybe a little more interesting of a character. He's not one to go out and fight huge metahumans. He's a little more grounded toward the scum of humanity, as it will. The street criminal. And so he dispatches them with great glee and ease in these books. But I don't know, it just works. It's so simple. The narrative's kept mostly to the minimum. I was a little put off the first couple pages. It was like, oh my gosh, they got some girl here talking over a cup of coffee, and it's like a page of this or 2 pages of this. But then it kicks into drive of like his detective skills and his chasing down whatever prey he's looking for, and then it just picks up and goes, and there's no wasted frames, there's no wasted scenes. It's just it moves, and it's incredibly enjoyable to read. Like I said, the first 5 are just great, and I actually wouldn't mind getting the series myself. I don't collect anything new, but I like that type of character. One who's a little more pragmatic and practical. You got to hurt your enemies so they don't come back and kill you, because bad guys will shoot you in the back if you walk away from them, if you just knock them down. But yeah, I don't know. I liked it a lot myself. I was a little worried because I don't usually like the writing on newer books at all. But this one was definitely a pleasant surprise. And I don't know, what more I can say about it? I give it a 4.5.
4.5. That's a strong score by Gino. Yeah, there was a couple little quirks in the story that kind of bothered me. That's why it lost a point for me. But other than that, man, that's point on. Like, that was a really, really well written story. All right, I almost wish it wasn't about Moon Knight.
Well, technically, I think the writer could have done it with any character who really wanted to. He could have done the same thing with Captain America or U.S. Agent, and he could have stuck him in the same story and made it work. Probably this design wouldn't look as cool, but
yeah. Okay, Kenny, you back now? Did you get your
I'm
package?
back, man. Sorry about that. I'm ready to wrap.
I'm guessing a comic delivery. Well, I guess it's kind of late where you are. Maybe not.
Yeah, sadly, no.
All right. Talking about the storyline itself. Okay, Warren Ellis' storyline.
Yes.
That must have been, forefront in your thoughts when you picked this book, Kenny. So
Yes.
Please tell us, how do you feel about this storyline?
Well, let me tell you something, brother, about Warren Ellis's Moon Knight run, which is sadly only like 5 or 6 issues. He only does the first story arc, then Jeff Lemire takes over. And it's good, but it's not as good as the first. So it's it's just a little piece of heaven with Warren Ellis's 5 or 6 issues. So I'm just going to deal with more of the writing on this particular issue, then I'll get into the more broad strokes of what he did on the concept part. But boom, 2 pages I'm not big on exposition, but you get brought up to speed by the journalist. I think the journalist was a good plot device. You only see her in the beginning, first couple pages, then she's gone. He just used her to get the job done, bring you up to speed, which me as a reader that needed to get caught up on Moon Knight is what I needed. And they did a great job of setting you up. Bang, boom. There's not tons of text on here, but enough to let you know who you're dealing with, multiple personalities, and then they pay it off immediately. You meet our character, Moon Knight or Mr. Knight in this episode, this issue, and they get right to business. You know, um, the dialogue is just what you need. There's no filler. The characters have distinct voices. Moon Knight is written as like a really quirky dude. He has this like uh, almost uneasy confidence. Uneasy as in it almost makes other people uneasy. How just confident he is, cool, calm, and collective, as Genome said, at all times. It makes him a really cool character. Um, they they highlight cool stuff like when they mention his return to New York. There's a cool phrase where it says, because he was a mercenary back in the day, and they say that his return to New York was completely paid for by laundered blood money. He became sane by spending what the crazy days paid him, which is a pretty dope line. Um, I think the villain, it's like a quick one-shot villain, episodic, right? Because issue one, you're dealing with Mr. Knight, and then as you get onto the other issues, as Genome probably found out, you deal with the other kind of personas of Moon Knight. So they give you a nice one-shot episodic villain, villain of the week kind of thing. And considering it's a one-time villain, I think with the few pages that we deal with this guy, it's thoughtful. It's a cool background. He's an ex-Shield agent who's like a disabled war veteran essentially, and he can't get his medical bills, medical coverage. So he goes about murdering people and kind of putting a hodgepodge repair together for himself. It's cool. It gives depth to this one-shot character. Uh, the whole time, Moon Knight is dealing with him in a real slick way. He's being pretty funny. And one thing I loathe in comics a lot is comic writers that are trying to be funny. Most comic writers are not good at comedy, and they should avoid it at all costs. But just enough is injected in this character, like when he says, when he's when he says, "Yeah, you're hiding your lumpy ass behind garbage and stabbing people in the night." Cool, like burns on him, which kind of shows that Moon Knight's he doesn't take anything too seriously. He's a little unhinged. Um, they round you back to flash backwards to some therapy sessions before, which gives you a little insight into the Mark Spector side of things, who's not as confident as Mr. Knight. And you can just see by the imagery here, he's kind of a little self-doubtful, a little, you can see some horror in his face, a lot more emotive than the cool, calm Mr. Knight. So I think that's written really well. And they end you off with a great little cliffhanger of what the hell's that about? You are my son. Khonshu, brother. There's, great like because you're dealing with like noir crime stuff in the beginning, and you end off with some kind of mysticism, and that's what this run does. It's right up my alley. This is me being a big Batman fan. It's because I like grounded stories, noirish crime stuff is cool to me. So this is, to me, writing wise, Warren Ellis knocks it out the park. To me, it's a flawless comic, story wise. Because I think, if you start with a 5 and then deduct points for flaws, I can go through the whole book and not find one story wise, writing wise. So this is a 5 story for your boy Comic Head. Mr. Warren Ellis comes through 100%.
All right. I agreed with you.
That's the first perfect score we've had in a while.
Yeah, like
Yeah. Great.
For me, I think just a couple little things about the serial killer guy.
Yeah.
Kind of threw me off with the story a little bit, right? And then, yeah, it was really good though. It was really good.
Yeah.
I can't hack on Ellis for this, but let's turn back Medarog here.
Yay!
Get the echo going.
He's back.
Hey, if you're curious,
Sunday.
the last 5s we had were She. That was Miracle and Comic Head.
On 5?
That's
On
the last
the art,
5s.
Probably on the art, right?
Yeah, interior art.
Oh yeah, Basima, of course. All right, you guys are getting the mute, or are you going to mute yourself, David? It's not listening to me. Yeah, I did for
He's
him.
muted.
Go for it, Kate. Roger, you're all up.
All right. Well, I think you guys did a pretty good job dissecting this story. I agree on some points and mildly disagree on others. I think the weaknesses in this story are right at the beginning and right at the end, because the segue there is, I understand it's explanatory first issue. You want to get a little bit of a background, but it was kind of choppy and kind of oddly, melded back in there, but not terrible, but just, compared to the middle of the book. I agree with Kenny. The middle of the book is near flawless, with the exception, I would take exception of the villain. I thought he was a bit on the lame side, not nearly a match for Moon Knight, kind of just fodder for the really excellent dialogue by Warren Ellis here. It is just magnificent. The one that really got me, and I'm going to show you here on my phone, is, it shows just the incredible confidence and attitude of Mr. Knight here. When he went down there, he knew that he could take this guy blinded with both hands behind his back, but he has that little flair about him. And then right here, when the guy says, "You're going to die tonight," he says there, I don't know if you can read that. Yeah. I died before. It was boring. So I stood up. I mean, that is major league attitude right there. Okay? Yeah. That really is very smart, very witty, very apropos. Really, his dialogue throughout this comic is just excellent. Even the villain's dialogue, I think, is well. I just think his design, it was not a match for him. He was just bullying this guy. He knew he could take this guy out at any time. He knew by the time he started going down in there that this is something he could take care of. He didn't even change his suit. Didn't get a drop of blood on it or a soot, nothing. So that just tells you just how incredibly deductive he is, how, he's a combination of so many fictional detectives in my mind. Philip Marlowe, that guy who has those deductive skills, those hard edges, Poirot and his almost like precognitive type of mental makeup, the incredible attention to detail that he has, like Sherlock Holmes. Just a magnificently well written character all the way around. The end is a little confusing to me. I do like that there is some confusion, because this is a confusing mental aspect of the character. So I think Ellis did a good job of sort of working that into kind of subtly. For me, I'd like something that's a little more explanatory and not so allegorical, but not bad. Nothing that I would give big marks off of. Overall, very best dialogue I've read in years. The plot, again, it's a little bit kind of basic, especially with the villain and how easily he is dispatched. But Ellis is kind of trying to change a little bit about his aspects, that they're really aspects of Khonshu and not dissociative disorder, which sort of was based on his trauma as a mercenary and as a soldier. So that was changed. And unlike you, Dave, I really do like Moon Knight. I think this is a character with extreme potential and has a lot of differences from that other guy in that other company, if done correctly. And Ellis did him justice here. I give this a 4 all day long.
4. So that's pretty good praise. Again, like Ellis's dialogue, absolutely beautiful, right? Like can't fault it. Can't get down on him. Trying to unmute people, mute people.
You're good. I usually take care of my muting. I'm good.
Okay, so I'll stop muting everybody or unmuting people. So who did we miss? Did we get everybody talking about the story?
We sure did.
Awesome. So that's 3 categories down, 2 more to go.
One grader left. The chat
One
grader
left. The chat grade. Oh, right. We need the chat to give us their grades before we move along. Hey, we're just joined by Johnny over at Comic Altruism there. Super Rest 9000, he's in the chat. Metarog, he's in there talking with the guys. Biggie Shack's in there running his mouth. Anyways, let's get some grades from the chats. That's what we need from you. Send us your grades, please. You are the 5th grader here on Graders Notes, so your grade counts just as much as ours do. Send us your grades now.
While they do that, what maybe you guys can help me out, because the only Warren Ellis that I know of that I've really read is this Moon Knight run and Planetary, the Authority stuff. Is there some key Warren Ellis that I'm missing out on? Because man, all the stuff I've read, those 2 things that I've read from him have been stellar, man.
To be honest, I don't know. I think this is the first Warren Ellis comic I've ever read.
I'm sure Unruly can help me
I know
out.
it's the first one I have.
Maybe Metarog can help us. We can take him off timeout for just a minute to see if he has some input on that. What do you say, Metarog? You familiar with some of Warren Ellis's other work?
He did a series called Transmetropolitan.
Okay.
Way back when, which was, it's kind of a, he does a lot of these like scientific melding, of advancement through science and cybernetics, and that's kind of like that kind of thing. I only read like a few of those. I think it was a Vertigo or a Helix book or something like that. But it had that one character, Spider. What was his name? Somebody in the chat will know. Spider Jerusalem. Right. Spider Jerusalem.
From Transmetropolitan. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I think that was a Vertigo book.
Yeah, he was pretty cool. But that's that. Besides Planetary, I only read a few of those issues, and Authority. Yeah, that's all I know. Yeah.
Hey, Chris Barrett, what's up, my brother?
Yeah, looks like he's done quite a bit, but I just happen not to see it. All right, so have we got enough grades in from the chat?
I think so.
All right. You ready, Kenny?
Yeah, I got the Abacus.
All right, you got the Abacus ready. You got the the 12th century Abacus. Here we go. Steve from I Love Disney and Comics gave it a 4. Unruly Simeon, 4.5. And Ellis has written better stories. Simeon's a big fan of Ellis, obviously. Key Comics Market Watch, 4. Steve Whiting, 4.5. Immortal Biggie Shack, I'll go 4.5. That's interesting. Oh, Tomb of Comics, how you doing, Mike? Good to see you here, buddy. Let's see. Russ says, from what you all said, sounds like a solid 4. Chris Barrett's in here. Welcome. He's okay. Great issue to analyze, you guys. Very interesting. Okay. Ranger Sly's giving some good stuff here, but no grade. J Hood Creative, welcome. I don't think we've seen you here before. Great to see you here.
J Hood's awesome, man. Great comment, great input.
Yeah, very good. Excellent.
And as always, whenever he pops in, I always let people know about his great Instagram page, killer artwork. Great artist.
I'll have to go check that out. I just subbed to him, but I'll go check out his Instagram as well. That's it. A couple people are not voting on this one.
That's okay.
Or maybe they haven't read it, so that's fair.
We got a 4 from the chat.
All right. The echo will go away, guys, once they mute me.
And I just got to plug in my laptop charger because I'm about to die. I've died before. It was boring.
It was boring.
So you just stood up. Right? Feel the same way on the can. All right.
All right, so moving on to our next category. Category number 4. Oh, got Metarog on mute there. Concept. The overall concept of this story. I'm going to start with you, Mr. Genome. We will get you. What's that? Why are you laughing at me?
Sense of elimination.
There's nobody else here. I either start with myself or I start with you. Nobody wants you to have the last word. So, Gino, what was your opinion of the overall of the concept of this book.
Well, this is yet another relaunch of a known character. So nothing too extraordinary there, but they decided to take the character in kind of a far different direction than he normally is. In the past, he was more of a Spider-Man clone in the way of, he hurt people, but he didn't hurt them. You know what I mean? He didn't break limbs. He didn't kill people. He didn't throw. I mean, he would stab them every now and then, like in the shoulder or something, but nothing too serious. So they decided to kind of upgrade his more violent tendencies and kind of turn him into like a mini Conan or Punisher, like I said, in his series. But basically, it's just a relaunch and a reimagining of the character. Hey, I can dig that. Batman wasn't too interesting until about the 70s. I mean, it was all pretty hokey. So yeah, you take a character who has a lot of emotional baggage or a colorful past. It really wasn't hinted about too much. In the old stories, he was just a hero. He just fell into the hero story, and you had to accept that. And this one looks like they're kind of getting down to a little more about what makes him tick, which is really interesting. And actually, it's kind of daring for a first, because a lot of times in a first issue, there'll be more just fireworks and ballistics and all that to grab readers to make them want to come back for more of the action. But this one, they slowed it down, and while there's plenty of action, they just wanted to really kind of delve into the character and what made him tick. So I don't know. I just think of this as more as a reimagining. They had a character sitting around, wasn't doing anything, and why not try to relaunch him? They probably had a hot new guy. Mr. Ellis is like, hey, let's throw him some work. We know he's got talent. We'll give him a property that no one really reads and or asks about, and see what he can do with it. So he obviously did really good things with it. I enjoyed it. I mean, like I said, it's nothing too revolutionary, but it's a pretty cool reimagining of a character who was kind of relegated to the dustbins of history, because he was never a huge draw, even back when he had his own run. I mean, you weren't going down there for the MoonKnight annual, one for you were going. He would get it with other things, but I digress. So anyway, yeah, I just as kind of a standard reimagining concept, nothing too extraordinary. But they did take it into a really interesting direction. What used to be kind of a bland character, outside of our work. So I'm going to go ahead and give the concept a 3.5.
Nice. 3.5. Pretty solid marks there, sir.
I'd give it a little higher, but I mean, like I said, they just changed the character, but that was about all they did, and then just relaunched it. So I didn't want to go too crazy with huge scores there.
Yeah, no doubt. Okay. So we're going to take these two guys, we're going to put them on mute, and we're going to get Medarog up and find out what his opinion is on the overall concept here.
Okay.
Raji, damn it. Raji with us?
Yeah. Am I here?
All right. Yeah, tell us your opinion of the concept, please, sir.
I feel like I was back in second grade when they used to put me in the back corner, when I would be reading comics under the table. Yeah, the concept here, I think Genome did a pretty good job of encapsulating what I would say. Nothing totally groundbreaking, I mean, but we wouldn't expect that anyway, because again, we have to stay true to some aspects of the character here. And I think that it looks to me like I haven't read the subsequent issues right yet, but it looks to me like they're taking his personalities and they're making each one sort of have a different dynamic of what he is all about as far as the different aspects of Khonshu being in his actual consciousness. So I'm assuming that his this persona that we saw in this comic, the white suited fluorescent detective, is one, and that we'll have other aspects, probably one more that's a little more violent and one that's going to be a little more heroic, et cetera, et cetera. I'm assuming that, but I don't know that for a fact. But if that's the case, I think that is a well-conceived dynamic for this comic. Because although he was a mercenary at first, as you can see here in Werewolf by Night, for hire, for whatever needed to be done, he sort of kind of his aspects changed, and his different personalities at that time weren't really personalities. They were really to have different from Stephen Grant, one from the street level, Jake Loxley, and then of course he had the Mark Spector mercenary and his ties there. And here they're kind of changing that to Khonshu is controlling those different aspects. Not a terrible concept, I don't think. If the rest of the issues are as witty and as sharp and as dynamic as this one is, I think Warren Ellis has done a magnificent job here, and the Marvel allowing him to get this book and Declan in the art is very appropriate. I like it. I don't see anything wrong with it. I don't see it as such a huge difference other than that the persona and the dialogue, which is really more the story. So I agree with Gino on the score as well. I have it as a 3.5.
3.5. Little better than middle of the road. All right. So next we're going to go and ask Kenny himself. How do you feel, sir, about the overall concept of your pick this week?
All right. Well, as far as the concept goes, I think the main things that were executed here concept-wise is they definitely made a point to start to distinguish Moon Knight from being Marvel's Batman, which I feel like was something that kind of followed him for a long time. A guy who kind of went through the night, human, who used gadgets, had money, stuff like that. But they really leaned into the multiple personality thing. So, first, the decision to give Moon Knight a title was great because during this Marvel Now thing, they gave a bunch of characters a #1 issue. So kudos to getting Moon Knight on a run. And kudos to putting Warren Ellis on this Moon Knight run because he's a great writer for the character. So whatever the Marvel execs that said, let's get Warren Ellis for this, props. They lose points for only getting him pinned down for like 5 or 6 issues. I would have loved to see what he would have done if he had 30, 40 something issues to work with. I don't think it was very long until they did another #1. That's how modern Marvel rolls, unfortunately. Jeff Lemire picked up after that, and I like Lemire. I love a big fan of Black Hammer and stuff, but he didn't quite catch the panache of the character that homie did. I lost audio. I'm gonna keep.
We can still hear you, bud.
Hello. I'm still here. Okay, I'm just gonna keep talking. I'm gonna take these off. The main thing that Warren Ellis did is he created this Mr. Knight persona. So huge props for that. He probably handled the multiple personality aspect of Moon Knight better than anybody. Because in the run before this, what they did with it was the multiple personality is he thought he was Spider-Man. He would like moonlight as Moonlight. He would moonlight as Spider-Man and Wolverine and Captain America. And I think that's a silly way to handle his multiple personality thing. On this one, they have the Mr. Knight character who's more the detective deals with the street level thugs. The conventional Moon Knight who has like the gadgets and the badass armored suit. They redid his outfit awesome in this. It's not, you don't see Moon Knight like that when he's in hero mode. He's got a cool new armored look. Who's kind of a conventional hero. And then another version of him is he is in more of the hooded thing and he wears this as a helmet. It's like an enchanted ancient, artifact that he wears as a helmet. And it gets into real mysticism, psychedelic stuff. There's some psychedelic issues in this when he gets into that Khonshu helmet mode. So just like really cool concept as far as that stuff goes. So yeah, I think Warren Ellis was a great pick. Short-lived, unfortunately, but he did great stuff with he got me into Moon Knight because up to this point, I always thought Moon Knight was cool, but I was in the club of he's kind of Marvel's lamer Batman. And once I got exposed to this run, I was like, all right, there's a lot more to the character. There's so much potential. If they ever adapt him to movie or TV, they need to use this 5-6 issues of Warren Ellis imagining as the blueprint, period. Because I think this is the coolest rendition of Moon Knight. So, with all that being said, I don't want to overhype it. Again, it's a short-lived reboot by Warren Ellis at the end of the day. But I will give it a solid 4.
4 it is. That is a pretty solid mark, my friend.
Yeah.
So I guess now it's just me left on the concept. I gotta agree with you in a lot of ways, Kenny, but I gotta
Disagree with me?
I gotta.
How dare you?
The overall concept of Moon Knight is. Hang on, let me put myself out there. The overall concept of Moon Knight is basically just like you said, a Batman ripoff, and I don't care if he is other people's favorite character or whatever. I fucking hate Moon Knight. He's just so. Just like why am I reading this? Why don't I just go read a Batman story that's good? But the reimagining that Ellis has here, taking him out of trying to be that white knight, I guess, kind of character, more into the detective side. Like I said, he was more like a Sherlock Holmes, where like Scotland Yard was calling him in to, help solve the crimes, and he's like super good at that kind of stuff and everything. I really like that better. I like him in that Sherlock Holmes role much more than the vigilante Batman kind of role that he plays. So the concept on this book definitely got a big bump in that kind of term. Like the reimagining was good. Like it was perfect. It fit him so well, right? Especially with the way that the illustration was drawn to match that kind of concept. But the overall concept of Moon Knight himself sucks, right? So just because it's Moon Knight, I'm going to take away a 1.5, and I'm going to give the overall concept of this book a 3.5 because Moon Knight still sucks. And that's about my opinion there. So I know a lot of people in chat are probably not going to agree with me on that sort of level. Maybe Moon Knight is your favorite character. Comic books and comic book collecting is subjective. Everybody gets their own opinions. And yeah, speaking of everybody's opinions, I would like to hear what the chat has for grades, or see what the chat has for grades. And we'll join it with our scores, and we'll see where we're at.
All right, chat's your time to shine.
You got it. The Moon Knight character, I mean, I don't agree with Dave and how he arrived to this. I agree with the score. I don't agree with how he arrived at it. But the Moon Knight character really, to me, is the parallel is not really Batman, because he was a mercenary, at least at first. He was a mercenary. He was more of a troubleshooter. He really wasn't a detective or a vigilante at first. He was sort of morphed into that later. Now, the Doug Monk run, I think, was interesting because it took him back to his past as a soldier, and how he kind of got caught up in arms, et cetera, et cetera. So I think this character can be differentiated from Batman in that sense. I mean, he has characteristics of it. I mean, not everything can be original down to the core. But I think the concept of Moon Knight has a lot of potential, and apart from any kind of Batman clone.
Well, I don't know, man. He's pretty on the nose for Batman, right? They just basically gave him a white suit. Billionaire guy whose parents were killed or whatever. It's like,
but his parents weren't killed.
Oh, his parents weren't killed.
Not that I know of. No. I mean, I believe he was just like just a war guy who went through a hell, PTSD, and that he couldn't deal with it, so he created other identities to sort of give himself some kind of release. This character's gone. It's one thing is true. This character has gone through so many iterations that it's confusing. I left it in the 90s, so who knows what happened to him after that? But to me, he has a lot of potential. Maybe not for the skyrocketing prices for Werewolf by Night 32, But if done well, I think this character can go far.
I don't know. I mean, there's enough Batman movies already, right? Like,
Yeah, I'm not sure that he has like a lot of public appeal. I don't know if he would appeal to a normie out there very much, because he's not. If he was a little higher end on the power scale, they might like him, but
like the chances of them ever making a Moon Knight movie are almost zero. Like,
Well, yeah, I don't think he'd be a good in a movie, but I think for streaming or a TV series, he could be really, really well if done well. Again, everything is is hinging upon that. But I never thought there'd be a Shang-Chi movie, so
no.
Anything can happen.
But I'd rather watch like a Daredevil streaming show than Moon Knight. Right? Like, if you're looking
no, I'd
for
rather watch MoonKnight.
Yeah, that Daredevil series was not the best, kind of boring.
What?
Sorry, guys.
The actor was a good Daredevil, but the writing there was lackluster, I thought.
Season 1 and Season 3 are some of the best television out there.
Yeah.
Netflix Daredevil.
Yeah.
Well, I'll have to disagree. I have to disagree there.
Season 1.
I was bored to tears, especially at Season 2. Man.
Ooh,
Season
the Punisher.
2 with the Punisher?
Yeah, I thought it was just. I just didn't think it was interesting. I fell asleep, honestly.
Where's the mute button?
You guys, I've been telling everyone, The Boys on Amazon. It's such a good show. 8 episodes of hot fire.
Yeah. My wife's been bugging me to watch that one.
All right, you ready, Kenny?
Yes.
All right, I know. Way up here, Chris Barrett and Ranger Sly gave it a 5. I know that. And then we go to, so that's 2 5s. Then Biggie gave it a 3.5. Russ 3.5. Steve Whiting 4. Chris Barrett 4.5. Hey, runs in the family. Chad, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you here.
What's up, brother?
He just had a really nice video on his Fantastic Four run. Oh man, those Silver Age Fantastic Four, I was like jaw dropping. Let's see. I think. Oh, hold on. I think that's it, guys.
Okay.
Yeah, they're talking about Key Comics Market Watch talking about season 3 was with Bullseye. See, I never saw season 3. I only went through halfway through season 2, and I said I couldn't take this anymore.
And Chris Barrett's favorite Netflix Marvel show was Iron Fist.
Iron Fist?
I don't know if he's trolling us, but it was universally panned. I know that.
It wasn't
Danny
awful,
Rand.
but that's not the Iron Fist I know. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it was pretty awful. Like the guy that was playing Iron Fist, that was like, can you have a little bit of emotion when you're doing this stuff? Like,
Do the mute button if you would, Dave.
oh, get rid of
Later, Metarog.
Bye.
There you go.
Cut him off right mid-sentence. Good deal.
Yeah, Barrett's dead serious. Boy who had 7, my brother.
Hey, welcome. Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I didn't really care for any of the Marvel shows on Netflix. Punisher had its moments. It was a
I
slog,
like the
but
Punisher. I
like the Punisher when he was being the Punisher. Other than that, I didn't. But I didn't like any of the other series.
Jessica Jones. The Jessica Jones with the David Tennant series where he was the Purple Man.
Yes.
Awesome.
Jessica Jones season 1 was stellar. Season 2 and 3, dogs.
Yeah, not so much. But
Yeah.
yeah, like David Tennant sold that show, man. He really made that season.
He's
Anyway.
getting basically everything he's in. So
The chat grade was 4.
We are. Yeah, what was the chat's grade?
4 for concept.
4. So the chat really liking the concept of it. They like the revamp of the Moon Knight from a vigilante more to a detective style, and he's still got his vigilante moments in there too. But yeah, definitely a much more intelligence-based Moon Knight in this series than what we've seen in previous series before. So let's get to our last category. Close this show out. Everybody's getting bored of looking at my face. Definitely getting bored of looking at Genome there. Nobody sees Metarog, but that's boring too. Anyway, overall concept. Kenny, I'll let you start us out. I'm going to let you take it home with the first word in the overall concept of this book, bud.
Well, let's see. Because I always like to go by the numbers. You know what I'm saying? For my overall grade. So let's see. It was 16.5 divided by 4. So my overall grade, numbers wise, is a 4. And I think that's about right. That kind of sums it up for me. The writing in the storyline was always the high point on this story for me. I'm in the club of totally digging the cover. I don't think it's lazy. I think it's very intentional. I think once you read the book, it kind of goes with the concept of it. All this red marketing bullshit totally killed it. It would have kept the artistic integrity of this thing to just. And I agree, maybe even make this part a little bigger. But I totally dug the cover. Thought it was artistic. Thought it was unique. It stood out to me on the stands because how often do you see a cover like this? It kind of just jumped out like whoa. And yeah, and I think the inside was just about as bold as this was. Lost my mic.
Fire. The artwork, was like indie comic style, which was cool, but not like knock my socks off. I had to keep it real. The decision to make Mr. Knight that glowing white, no shading, just flat black and white was a great decision. Again, bold moves, artistic moves were made during this series. So much respect for that. Writing again, I gave it a 5 because it was just it's the exact kind of story that I dig. My favorite stories are usually the grounded ones, like I said. So that did it for me in the concept. Again, I kind of just went over that. I thought Warren Ellis is the best guy to touch Moon Knight, even though I haven't read, I guess a ton of Moon Knight, but from the stuff that I have read, I'm always like, Ellis killed it. So I'm just going to keep it short and sweet, y'all. My overall grade is a 4. For the strong, powerful Warren Ellis, Moon Knight #1.
That's a strong grade as well, sir.
Yes, sir.
Take it you're the biggest Moon Knight fan here. Maybe Metarog is right up there with you, but
yeah, it's funny. I'm a Moon Knight fan really strictly because of this run.
I can see why that would make you a Moon Knight fan.
Yeah, right.
If you started out reading the '80s one, probably not as much. Anyways, we're gonna move along. We'll hop over to Gino Presents here since we've got him up on the mic. David, Genome, buddy, chum, how you now? Tell me how.
You didn't hit serviceable once, by the way. Just making a note of that.
Damn it, you ruined my ending.
Yeah.
Oh. Sorry.
Tell me how you feel the overall of this book is coming out for you.
All right, so my overall score, wound up being the aggregate was 3.6. So it's gonna make my score a 3.5, and I'm gonna leave it there. That's kind of what I had in my head. Had a lot of great stuff going for it, and a couple of things that really brought it down. I just think the overall look of the cover, that really helped kill. That was the lowest score for me, was the cover. And it wasn't, while it was a cool concept to change the character, conceptually speaking, it was just a relaunch, and a reimagining. So it wasn't nothing new. They just did some new things with the character. So it was still above average, 3.5 in that one. But those were the two lower scores that hurt it. But everything else about the book was great. The interior art, the story was just so stellar that it really helps make, overlooking some things. The cover doesn't really matter. In the grand scheme, it does for collectors and stuff. But, I read every comic I own. So it doesn't matter which one it is. So the interior matters just as much to me, if not more, than the cover does. So they did a lot of good stuff in between the pages here, in between the covers. So it was good stuff. I was very pleasantly surprised. I didn't think they could put out a book like this in, relatively modern times. I just, there was no platitudes from the protagonist. There were just extreme amounts of violence and kind of a frank, stark look at maybe even mental illness, because he's not completely compos mentis, but I don't know. I dug it. Yeah, 3.5. It doesn't. It's probably more like a 4, but I'm gonna stick with the math here because the cover brought it down a lot for me. But yeah, just a highly recommended read, and I was really happy to read it. So yeah, pleasantly surprised. Good pick. 3.5.
3.5. It's a little better than the average book for you overall. It's a pretty solid score, David.
Oh yeah, hey, credit where credit's due, right? Because I also read Moon Knight back in the 80s and 90s, and yes, he was just there. He had his own series for a little while, but he just mostly was a guest appearance guy. And whenever they needed another good guy to help fight the bad guys, that's when they stuck him in. He was almost like a very unpopular Ghost Rider or Wolverine. So, but
yeah. All right, so let's get on here. I'm gonna give my overall grade, and then we'll switch it over to the voiceless there, Metarog, and we'll let him have a talk. So overall, like, I disagree with just going by the numbers, because a lot of times, like in this instance, when I presented with this cover, at first I didn't like it. But once I saw the interior art and how well that cover matched up with the stark white of the striking white of MoonKnight in every scene like that, the way they did no shading, I liked it much more, right? So together those two brought up a better grade for me than either on their own, kind of thing. So sometimes my grades in the overall get a little bump because everything's clicking together, right? If the story's working and the artwork fits the story really well, and the cover fits the artwork and the story really well, and the concept of the book is solid, it's going to get a better grade than the sum of each of those parts, kind of thing. So for the overall, excellent story, fantastic interior art. The cover gets just a touch of a bump to me because it does match the interior art of Moon Knight quite well. And so in the total, I ended up giving the overall for this book a solid 4, right? Which is, for me, that's a big number to give out for a book, especially for a Moon Knight book. I mean, this really changed my opinion in a lot of ways about Moon Knight, right? If Moon Knight was always written like this, I would have been a big Moon Knight fan. He is not always written like this. There's a lot of really lame Moon Knight stories out there. Anyway, I said I was going to give it a solid 4. That's what my grade is. That's what I meant. I'm going to keep this short and sweet too. And yeah, big fat 4.0 from Mr. Miracle. So now we're going to change it over. We're going to put the other two gentlemen on the mute, and we're going to bring up our Echo Master, Metarog, if he's listening. He's got his own thing on mute, so he's got to unmute himself, Roger.
Okay, sorry. There you go.
There you go.
All right. I was self-imposed quarantine there.
So Roger, you're a big Moon Knight fan.
Yes.
So this is a different take on him. Like it's. I mean, all the elements are there, but it's quite a different take. So what did you feel the overall was of this book?
Well, as you said, I mean, my history of Moon Knight goes back to the 70s when he was, that mercenary, et cetera, et cetera. And he has changed so many times, so many iterations, so many writers, so many different concepts, from the mystical to the psychological to the just out and out violent, and that kind of confuses the issues here. But I think that let me just go through my different aspects of this particular issue. The cover, again, it's neither here nor there for me. It doesn't give me a lot, but it doesn't really take away a lot. Yeah, the boilerplate trade dress with the red and stuff is distracting, but those were all the books. I can't really take off for that, because that's just sort of like saying you don't like the paper quality. It is what it is, right? but I wish there was more to draw me in, especially in a #1 issue. But not the biggest deal. And plus, I don't give nearly as much weight to the cover as I do to the other aspects of the comic. Right. The story, I think, was solid, more than solid. The dialogue was just so good. I mean, if this was even written as a novel, I think it would work. And that is a compliment to Warren Ellis. I'm not the hugest Warren Ellis fan from his stuff before. It can be preachy, humanistic, secularism, and it can be a little pushy. But here, I think he's on an even keel and just so smart. His dialogue is off the charts. Again, there were some plot points that I thought were a little weak. The villain and the bullying of him, but well done overall. Art, again, so appropriate. The panel layouts are just so smartly done, very dynamic, very the way that it follows the story is so closely melded with the dialogue, and that's kind of a talent that a lot of people do not have nowadays. So I thought that those were the art and the story. Honestly, there really no big things that you can say that, hey, this was a problem. Not at all. Star-studded all the way. The concept, okay, I kind of agree with Genome here. There is a new aspect to him, and that's why I gave it a higher grade on the concept. But again, it's been through so many iterations. I've seen parts of this in other comics, but Ellis did a good job of focusing on that Mr. Knight persona and how he's helping the detectives with cases that are way above their pay grade and their ability to manage. Again, very, very well done. Could have been perhaps a little more explanatory. There were things that were allegorical, a little vague, which again kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But those might have been partly because of he himself is a vague and kind of confusing character at times. So if I do the aggregate, it's a 3.5. I really want to give this a 4 because the art and the dialogue is just so good, but I really can't because the other issues just are bothersome to me. They're foremost in my mind, and when that happens, I can't give it a bump in grade. So I agree with Genome here. A very, very tight and almost 4, but 3.5.
3.5, solid score. Excellent. So now we need our 5th grader. We need the chat. Tell us what you think. Give us your grade of the overall of this book. Did it fit? Did the art fit? Was the story good? Was the story suck? Was it, did it work together? You guys, give us your grades, please.
Oh, one thing when you muted the other guys, I couldn't hear the turkey thing. I don't know if I went over or what.
You're fine.
Oh, okay.
You're excused.
Okay.
I didn't use it much tonight. It was kind of hard to juggle the unmuting and all that. So
Yeah, I assume so. And here are my, just for
Shout out.
evidence, here are my scores, guys. Just right down the line.
There it is.
I do not just make this stuff up. I do take notes, and we do our homework, as DS Comics says on the No Fun.
You want to see a little behind the scenes graders notes? I typed mine out, brother.
Oh man, Kenny, you're an overachiever, buddy. Overachiever. You're making us look bad.
Kenny's typing them out. Genome's got spreadsheets. Man, I got scribbles on a page.
That's what I got. I just put it on a backing board. I already threw it back here, but that's all I do is just on the back. For every one, I put little notes for every one. That's it. Just like 3 sentences.
all right, so last chance. Everyone, get your grades in now, and we will tally scores.
And let me just say that, like a couple people mentioned, and it's true, there was tons of live streams, good ones too.
Yeah.
People that were in here, heads up that White Whale and I Got Issues did a stream together earlier, which is cool. It's great to see Issues hop on, because he doesn't hop on often, but when he does, it's solid. Tacoma Comics was reviewing Die number 6 with a star-studded lineup. D Comic Queen, Bear Island, and John. Die 6 was crazy good this week too. So this was a solid week for comics. So
And Tony Sanders, I think, is on too with Bub.
with Bub, Yeah,
Yeah.
what's your deal with Bug? I got a lot
Yeah,
of
he's
stuff on the back.
moonlighting. He's cheating on me.
Yeah. So, in the words of the great Jay-Z, you could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. So thank you for that.
Yeah, this
Oh.
has been great.
It has been fabulous, and thank you for spending the evening with us. And I know there's so many options out there, but we're going to wrap it up here so you can make it to the comic board. Okay. All right, you ready, Kenny?
Of course.
All right, here we go. My Bostonian accent is terrible, so I'm not going to go there. Dwarf. What's the dwarf? That's more New Yorker.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm from New Jersey, so that comes natural. Super. Okay, it looks like Russ comes in with a 3. Ooh, I'm hearing a big echo. 4 for Chris Barrett. 4 for the aptly named Mark Spector Comics. We should give him double credit, but we won't. But welcome, Mark Spector. Biggie says I'm going for a 4. Biggie, I'm surprised at you.
Mark Spector Comics. I just got that.
Yep, Hydra Comics with a 5. Steve Whiting 3.5. Key Comics Market Watch. You've been with us the whole night. Thank you so much, buddy. I appreciate it. 4. And that's it. Oh, Steve Whiting, thank you so much, buddy. This is the place to be. Man, you're awesome, man. We know you have so many friends out here in the community. To spend it with us, we're really honored, Steve. Really. Thank you.
Yeah, something in the water down there in Florida, man. But some good people.
Damn it, Miracle. I can just see Biggie Shack say that. Damn it, Miracle.
Overall, Grant,
right.
it might be the most telling, most reflective of the book. And your boy 84 has, a very sophisticated palate when it comes to comics. So when we put something on the table, brother, you're going to get grades like 4.5 overall. Great book. I hope this video, this Raiders Notes edition, kind of puts this on the radar for a few more people that maybe weren't aware of it. It's a quick read, man. You only got to get in. I mean, the Jeff Lemire stuff is good. Don't get me wrong. But you get these 5 or 6 issues in of Mr. Ellis, and you just read yourself a pretty solid Moon Knight story. So 4.5 overall from the chat.
Yeah, 4.5. I think that's probably one of our highest grades ever.
Yeah, for chat. Yeah, it's up there.
Yeah, very solid grade. Very solid.
Really-
But I can see it. I can see it. If it was just based on the art and the dialogue alone, I'd have no problem with that. No problem whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That,
the
you know what?
cover
The only.
kinda dropped.
Yeah, the cover really hurt. The only one that chat's rated higher was Conan #1.
Yeah, great pick this week, Kenny.
Yeah, good pick,
This was
buddy.
a fantastic read.
Thanks. Oh, we didn't really talk about what's next, did we? Did I miss the memo?
No,
That's coming up
we
now.
haven't got
It's
there
coming.
yet.
It's coming.
No, but among ourselves, I'm not even aware of it.
Yeah, remember?
I don't.
So next time we are going to do Volume 3, number 95.
Oh,
Of the
mute
Incredible
Midrock
Hulk.
real fast.
Yeah.
I'll mute.
Sunday.
Now repeat again.
So we're going to do Volume 3, number 95 of the Incredible Hulk. It's part of the Planet Hulk storyline.
Planet Hulk, brother.
Planet Hulk. So we've all, or maybe we not all have, but most of us have seen Thor Ragnarok. That was kind of loosely based on Planet Hulk in there, as well as they've had a Planet Hulk animated show, which was also loosely based on the comic, and then the comic itself has its own unique story. So I've never personally read it, so I am looking forward to seeing.
Oh, cool.
The Incredible Hulk throw down in the arena on Sakaar there.
Yeah, I don't know why they stuck it in friggin' Thor. That was so stupid. I can't believe they did it.
I thought it worked.
That could be a whole storyline. That could be a whole movie line right there. But they had to throw it as like a trade off like that. I don't get it. I just whatever. Now the animated was really good. The animated one was excellent. I think anyway.
Yeah, no, it was well done. So was Thor Ragnarok. I liked it. All right, so we've been on this stream now for getting close to a couple hours. So let's try and wrap it up here.
Let's wrap
Um,
it.
let's start off with you, Kenny. Kenny, tell us you got anything coming up on your channel or your channels now?
Yeah. I haven't put out the full bat signal yet for the 84ites, the 84 Maniacs, brother, on the other channel because the pieces are still getting put together. But there is one little intro video with me and my buddy Vasco, who lives down the street. We're gonna put a little something together. It's still so. Stay tuned for that. Even though if you want to go for the preview deep cut, Lord Vasco is the name of the channel, but I'm gonna announce it once it has a proper rebranding and the whole nine. So that's coming very, very soon. Live streams from your buddy 84. As far as stuff to it, I don't think I have too much to promote at the moment, other than it's pretty likely that Mr. Biggie Shack and I will be doing a live stream tomorrow. It may not be a proper mega power hour, but it's probably still going to be a little hangout with maybe Royal Rumble style where people can join in and hang out. So mega power hour is all love, brother. If you're watching this video, basically you're invited. So if you want to run in for a little Royal Rumble action tomorrow night on Biggie Shack's channel, that's what's going on. It's just going to be a nice hang, loose, free form, and that's about all I have on the docket, y'all.
Well, there you go. And I think
I'm sorry, I forgot about one big thing.
No, too late. No, too late. No, go ahead, buddy.
Auction, brother. Auction on White Whale Comics channel Sunday night, 9 p.m. Bunch of stuff's going up. Me, White Whale, Smurf, and Drew Manchu. I'm putting up the 5.0 first Casey Jones Raphael book signed by Peter Laird, and a bunch of other goodies. I'm going to post a little preview video in the next day or two to let you know what to expect. And I'm trying to, move some stuff so I can get some scratch together before Fan Expo Boston Con in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Week and a half at this point. So that's what's up there. Check it out. Now
Boston's got a pretty big con, right?
Yeah,
Yes? No?
yeah, dude. The lineup is crazy. The Todd Father's going to be there. Mignola, Capullo.
Nice,
the list
nice.
goes on and on. Yeah.
Cool. So very cool. How about you, Mr. Genome? Oh, and by the way, Kenny, I was going to say I might actually jump in that power hour tomorrow. So I got a few things to say right to his face, that big Shaq motherfucker.
Yes.
Anyway, Genome, you're up next, brother. Tell us what you got coming down the pipe. You got some exciting news. You got exciting news to tell people happening on your channel.
Yeah.
Oh, you know me. Always got something exciting. Freaking Miracle bringing the heat, man. Look at that. Oh, but he's going to turn heel tomorrow. But anyway, yeah, I got a lot of stuff going on. Hold on, I'm getting feedback again. Let's see. Oh, it's gone now. Anyway, yep. I got a couple interesting things. The biggest one is actually tomorrow. I'm going to be interviewing Friday 13th, Part 6, Jason actor CJ Graham tomorrow. And so I should have that posted tomorrow evening sometime or at the latest sometime Saturday. So be sure to check that out. Those are always fun to do. And if you have any questions you want me to ask CJ, just put something in the comments of one of my videos or send it here or send it to my Instagram somewhere. And I'll see if I can work them in. I already got a few to ask from other people. So there is that. I got hopefully a motor vlog I'm going to do again this weekend, weather permitting. I took some pieces off the motorcycle, so it's cooler to ride right now because it's just so bloody hot. So I want to do that some more. I haven't done it since I got back from my motorcycle trip. Mm-hmm. And what else? There's a new piece of technology I'm going to be playing with here shortly, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to try inserting myself into some cinematic masterpieces, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, other than that, just had some more comic reviews coming up, and just looking forward to, of course, the next Graders Notes. But yeah, a lot of stuff on the horizon here, and hopefully it'll be interesting for y'all.
Well,
can I submit a question for the Jason actor? Can you ask him if, in preparation of the role, did he murder anyone? to get.
I'll have to be sure to ask him. He was a Marine, so I don't know.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, I was asking earlier. I was like, well, if I was him and had that role, I'd be walking around everywhere all day, going, "Get out of my way! I'm Jason, bitch!
Jason.
Get out of my stop cutting in line! I'm Jason, bitch!" You're like, fuck. Anyway,
He's a method
real
actor.
exciting. Makes me really curious about how you're going to insert yourself into movies. I'm going to turn on our esteemed gentleman, Mr. Metarog, and see what he's got going on his channel. Oh, he has to unmute himself again.
Okay, got it.
Oh, there we
got
go.
it. I'm off self-imposed exile. Well, as everybody knows probably by now, every Thursday we got the contest roundup, and there were 8 today, new ones. So lots of stuff a lot of entries you can make there, and I've won already 2 in the past couple of weeks. So if you enter, the odds are you will win eventually. So please do check that out and support the channels out there that are trying hard to not only bring exposure to them, but to give things back to the community, sort of a contest, A-OK, if you want to call it that way. Every weekend I do a contest entry or a support video or 2. And every Tuesday I usually do some kind of special video, a haul, or focus on some kind of obscure aspect of comic collecting. And I believe next week I'm being invited by the Boy Who Had 7 on a special stream to take on. I won't say who I'm going to take on, but I'm just going to say that it's going to be kind of I have to defend the non-slabbers versus the slabbers. So I'm taking notes. I am studying up, and whenever that stream occurs, I will put a little thing on Instagram to let you know. So that's what's up with me.
Hey, oh, by the way, I wanted to shout out Russ real quick over at Super Rust 9000. Wanted to say I really appreciate you making me a part of your contest, and I just want to say thanks. Appreciate it.
You're muted, Miracle.
That's the way I like him.
There you go. There. Okay, for me personally, coming up on my channel, of course, we always have the undervalued segment on Wednesdays. This next Wednesday's episode, it's a little different. It's going to be kind of funny. Still undervalued comics. I think you'll get a kick out of it a little more. And I am going to be on Tony Sanders' channel next week, and I'm going to do What's Your Grail on Thursday night with him.
Oh, I didn't know that. Exciting.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm looking forward to all that stuff. And of course, the Slab Down tournament continues on Sundays. We'll have another 2 competitors going up, and eventually we're going to get our way down into having the huge Slab Down tournament off or champion sooner than later. So I think that just about covers everything. Oh, contest. When are we going to have a contest?
Yeah, but I think we can keep that in our back pocket for this episode.
Okay.
Since we're kind of pushing the 2-hour mark, let's.
Yeah, okay.
But exciting stuff coming down the pipe here for Graders Notes.
Yeah, something I think pretty cool coming down the pike.
Yeah, stay tuned to this show, and we're going to have a really fantastic contest come up. So.
Yeah, we'll talk about what's going on here. What's going on here? It's like is this like rock paper scissors? What?
He just hit you with the goon hand. Yep.
We'll talk about it this week on Instagram, and we'll come up with an announcement for in 2 weeks. Okay.
Sounds good, my friend. All right. So I'm going to end everything here. Thank you again, everybody, for joining us tonight. I hope you enjoyed tonight's episode. I certainly enjoyed doing it with my fellow graders here. We're going to wish you guys a good night, and we'll see you next episode.
Please.
Good night.
Later on.
Be safe and be good.
And be blessed and be back.
Hey, that's right.